Here we go. Technics direct drive automatic SL-D3. I was planning on replacing the cartridge and stylus, but as I was sort of doing the preliminary checks, found out that this start-stop button is sticking. So it's going to make me work for it. This isn't going to be a thorough repair video. Hopefully we can get this thing up and running. And if so, you'll be seeing it on the channel. Okay, as we continue, figured I'd bring you back for this. I know you're seeing what I'm seeing right now, and it ain't right. Apparently, maybe somebody was having some issues with this turntable, and between the platter and the mat here, they seem to have just dumped a ton of some sort of unidentified oil type lubricant, while not lubricating the correct points in the direct drive unit on this turntable. So bring it back after I get that accomplished and clean up the mystery goop. Alright, I have returned from the hardware store. I had to acquire a small screwdriver to take this cartridge off the head shell. Now this is a Shure cartridge and I'm sure it's great. I actually plan on keeping this cartridge and probably reinstalling it. I got a new mark, which is adequate, and it's really all that was available on a moment's notice. So what have I done? I have lubricated the motor and bearing, and you know, I'm not going to say what I used to do that because, you know, I don't want anybody to accuse me of committing a cardinal sin. But what I can tell you is that it's worked for me on direct drive turntables in the past and provides smooth, reliable operation. You know, I'm not going to get into what I used. I don't want to get castigated by the internet turntable police. So what I'm going to do now, this is a quick and easy video. I didn't set up any sort of tripods or anything. It's all handheld. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and reinstall, maybe I can do this one-handed, reinstall the platter and reinstall the rubber mat, which I don't know about this mat. I think it's sort of gone petrified. So I might, you know, just maybe get a felt slip mat and throw it over that and replace that at some point. It's on to cartridge / stylus replacement. I'm not going to worry about the automatic function. I can queue it up and use everything manually without that. Somebody has spilled something down in there and it would probably require more of a teardown than I'm willing to do at this point. Like I say, this is a quick and dirty, get it done, make it work video. And I'll bring you back when I get the cartridge installed on the head shell. So as we continue, you know, this isn't meant to be a tutorial. This is just a guide to tell you what I'm doing to revive this turntable and get it up and running. It's important to take note of the location of your cartridge within the head shell. And what I'm going to do, and hopefully this will work, is take a lead pencil and mark the location so I can get the new cartridge back where the old one came from, and hopefully I won't rub it away with my paws in the interim. Okay, here we see the head shell with the cartridge removed. It's a Shure Pro 7. Here we see the new mark cartridge getting ready to be installed. Okay, so there are surprises waiting around each bend on this turntable adventure, and this is the latest one that I've run into. The blue wire, the push contact on the one end was snapped off. Now I don't know if I'm going to be able to fix this by attempting to solder it together. I'm going to try to solder it together for the time being. I can get replacement wires for sure, but I've got to order them. Onward, I suppose. We'll see what happens. This may be the end of the story right here for now, until I can get the appropriate wire, but I'm really hoping somehow I can bodge this together. We'll see. Okay, hopefully that's in focus. I've managed to bodge that blue wire back together and put the weak end on the cartridge side, and the end that was intact is going back on the head shell side, and this is just going to have to do until I can get some new jumper wires, but I know it's making good mechanical connection, and that's the most important part. Alright, so here we can see the head shell is ready for reinstallation. And I'll tell you what, this thing was a real bear, people. I mean, a pain in the derriere for sure, especially with that broken wire. I managed to crimp that end of it back together. I had to snip a little piece off and crimp the end back onto it, put a little blob of solder on it. I'm about 99.1% sure that I've got a good connection to all 4 of the posts. We'll see once we get this thing reinstalled. Okay, so there it is, back on the tone arm. But the tone arm is not properly balanced, as we can see, because it's supposed to sit level and just sort of float at initial setup. Then you set the tracking force. So we're going to have to set the counterweight and then set the tracking force, and then we're going to be real close to being able to play records on this thing, and hallelujah for that, because what a chore. Alright, this one's been fun to bring across the finish line, and it's not really finished per se. Like I said, I had to bodge that wire together. I'm going to have to repair that, not repair it, but replace it at some point. I'm sure that there's a set of jumper wires I can get online and order, but the idea is get it up, get it running. Let's make some sounds tonight. And I think we're ready to do that. I just set the tracking force and the anti-skate. I don't have it hooked up to an amp just yet, but from what I can see, it is tracking across this record just wonderfully. So let's go find out what we got, folks. Okay, so here we are, moment of truth. Several hours of work culminating in a test run of this Technics SL-D3 turntable. This would be the cheapest SL-D3 in the United States available today. I researched locally on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, also on eBay. There are 2 for sale on eBay. One of them is $400 and the other one is $455 and some change. So I spent way less than half of that on this unit. Will it pay off? Let's find out. The record that I'm going to be playing here is the National Association of Broadcasters test record, which is something they would have had in a radio studio. I'm hearing sound from the speakers.
Phase and balance test.
Wow.
1 kc lateral.
What do you think of that test tune there, the folks? It's not too pleasant to listen to, but what it's telling me is that this turntable is playing back through both channels without any hum, just the way it should be. Even with that damaged wire that I had to do emergency surgery on to get it to work, it sounds awesome. So the goal here is not to get a copyright strike on this particular video or a copyright claim. See,
1 kc left channel.
let's get this off of here. It's working just fine. YouTube will tell you as a creator that it's okay to go ahead and share copyrighted content, and what will happen is they'll run ads on your stuff, you'll get a copyright claim, everything's fine, or so they say. But if you plan to monetize down the road, here's a word of advice. Don't use copyrighted material. Now, I personally have no intention of monetizing, so it doesn't rightly matter to me. Or if I do monetize, it's not going to be for a while. I will go ahead and make enough original content and enough original quality content that it'd be worth my while. But at this point, just having fun with it. The goal here is not to have any copyrighted material in this particular video, but what I'll do now is go back and make a recording with this turntable of a recording that I've shared in the past. That way you can go back if you're interested and compare the sound of previous turntables to this one. So it'll be a fun little exercise. Anyway, thanks again for joining me for this repair video. And I hope you guys are happy and healthy and having a great time out there. And I'll catch you on down the road.